Uh, Good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you're coming to us from. If you can say hi to us in the Zoom chat, we'd love to hear where you're from. I know that there is a watch party going on underway on campus with a few different student organizations. So hello if you're watching us from there. But wherever you are, I want to give you a warm welcome to Rosemont College for our third annual event, Love of Languages, Languages, Culture, and Your Careers. My name is Chad Workman, and I'm an adjunct professor here in the school's business department. As one of the organizers for this event, I'm here to provide the opening remarks before we meet our moderator and our special guests for the evening. The purpose of today's event is to share the story of a very accomplished woman and how leaning into languages and cultures has had a deep influence on her professional life and has enabled her to make lasting impacts on the lives she has encountered. You'll hear in depth from our guest in a minute. However, first I want to share my own personal experiences briefly. Being from the South American country of Paraguay, I learned both Spanish and German in addition to English. Now, while I might not remember it all anymore, it allowed me to live both in Central America and in Luxembourg, where I gained an entirely new worldview and perspective on life. Gaining these experiences is important. However, it's what you do with them that has life-changing potential. To this day, I apply the values and teachings from the countries I've traveled in and lived in to help immigrants in the nearby counties to Rosemont gain professional opportunities, assist with social services, provide access to health and wellness programs, education, and immigration support, all because I have a better understanding of what certain people need and what they value. Similarly, you'll hear from our guest as she has created opportunities for the people of Marrakech, Morocco through her dedication and understanding of both language and culture. And furthermore, how she has created a successful career out of it. The possibilities are truly endless. At Rosemont, while we may be small in numbers, we are great in diversity of culture and diversity of thought. Our goal from tonight's event is to encourage you to lean into and embrace your diversity, especially when you leave Rosemont and embark on your professional life. Remember, your diversity makes you unique, and with it, you bring a unique perspective that is invaluable. I encourage you to learn how to adapt to situations, but remember, don't compromise to the point where you're no longer being true to yourself. I look forward to hearing our moderator and our guests' conversation to share their own perspectives on this. One more point to mention before we begin, since this event is being hosted through Zoom, we encourage you to drop any questions or reactions you have along the way in the chat, as we have built ample time for Q&A as part of this program. I also want to mention this event is being recorded for future viewing and to document what I'm sure will be a thought-provoking conversation. So with that being said, thank you all for coming. Thank you also to the Conwell Grant for Foreign Languages for funding tonight's program. Also, thank you to Dr. Christine Hagedorn and Professor Tatiana Ripoll-Paez for organizing tonight's event along with myself. Thank you to the support staff for helping us navigate the technology. And finally, thank you to the Rosemont Language Department, the Rosemont Business Department, the Alpha Rosemont Student Chapter, the Rosemont French Club, and the Rosemont Latin American Student Organization for co-hosting tonight's event. Now, I have the pleasure of turning the program over to my esteemed colleague, Professor Claudia Brown, who is an adjunct French professor within the language department, as she will be moderating tonight's panel and who will introduce our guests for the event. Please join me in welcoming Professor Claudia Brown and enjoy tonight's program.
Thank you, Chad. That was wonderful, wonderful intro. I loved hearing about your own experience with languages. Very, very interesting. Love to hear more about it. Okay, well, welcome everyone to our third annual, as Chad was saying, Love of Languages Forum. I'm Claudia Brown. I'm an adjunct French professor here, and actually at the moment, the entire French department, which we are hoping to grow here on campus in the coming years. I am very excited to have as our guest speaker this year, Jamila Hassoune from Marrakech, Morocco. Jamila's internationally recognized role as a social and cultural entrepreneur, civic leader, and Francophone bookseller is an enormous undertaking, which I consider no less than a tour de force. I met Jamila through the late, great Fatima Mernissi, who was a renowned Moroccan feminist sociologist. Mernissi was one of the first women from an Arab country after the Second World War to address women's equality in the context of Muslim society, particularly in her seminal 1975 PhD thesis from Brandeis, later to become an important work in the growing discipline of women's studies, now translated into more than 30 languages, titled Beyond the Veil, Male and Female Dynamics in a Muslim Society, is still very much in print and very relevant. In 1999, I was lucky to be chosen by the Washington Post to be sent to Morocco to produce a report on the newly enthroned King of Morocco, Mohammed VI. On that trip, I met Mernissi as a source for my reporting. She was very helpful, and she eventually invited me back to Morocco later that year to participate in her civic projects and for me to give a professional development workshop to a group of professional Moroccan women. It was at that workshop in Casablanca that I met Jamila, who was then a bookseller and in the middle of founding what would become the Book Caravan, which we'll talk about. And she was personable, funny, warm, and we became fast friends. I find it daunting to summarize the civic, cultural, and educational work Jamila has accomplished since that meeting in Casablanca. Single-handedly, she started the Book Caravan by driving her own car up to the high Atlas Mountains with a pile of books from her bookstore in the back seat to lend to underprivileged young people deprived of the means to purchase books themselves. The caravan eventually evolved into an annual 3 to 4 day workshop, often organized thanks to Jamila's great networking in partnership with international NGOs such as Germany's Goethe Institute and various Italian cultural and educational nonprofits. During this time, Jamila has become something of an international civic star. As of 1997, she has been invited to speak on English language panels and seminars 6 times at one of the largest book fairs in the world, the annual Frankfurt Book Fair in Frankfurt, Germany. Concurrently, she has been cultivating professional relations with French publishers and Italian civic colleagues, one of whom helped her write a book in Italian about herself called La Libera, it's in Italian, La Libera di Marrakech, bookseller of Marrakech, which has yet to be translated into French, English, or Arabic, but is available in Italian on Amazon. So you can check that out if you read Italian. I seriously cannot comprehend how one person can travel around the world, bridging disparate cultures by tapping into her considerable intelligence, including her knowledge of French, English, Arabic, German, and Italian, and of course, her expert networking. But Jamila has something more, an unstoppable passion and curiosity about the other, wherever that person may be from. She has a gift of putting herself in others' shoes and empathizing completely, both professionally and personally with them. Today, she will be speaking to you in English, which, bless her heart, is not her native tongue. I will be here to help if she needs it. However, she has made significant strides from her high school English studies, often now listening to National Public Radio in English and teaching herself expressions, verbs, and sentence structures through Duolingo. Jamila is an inspiration to all young people who yearn to broaden their horizons by learning and mastering foreign languages and cultures. Because then, as she'll tell you, one can appreciate other ways of thinking inherent to folks in foreign lands. Jamila is an admirable example of how, with our increasing modern dependence on the internet and international business and air travel, to shrink the global world in order to be able to know, communicate with, and feel compassion for people far and wide. So now I turn it over to my friend Jamila.
Okay, thank you, Claudia, for Rosemont College. You got my file. You tell me everything about, you told everything about me. So So I'm happy to participate to this edition of Love of Languages. It's really exciting to speak about languages. And like you said that the English is not my native language, of course. But I'm trying to improve it. I am continuing to improve it by using Duolingo, which is very amazing because the machine corrects me all the time. And also I am following news in TV, in the radio. Languages, of course, are very important. It's a huge subject if you want to discuss about it, because it's really vital, you know, like a subject.
Vital, yeah, vital, yeah.
Vital.
Mhm.
So I will try to share with you my experiences with all these languages I could learn. And I don't know if somebody of you has this experience to deal with native or mother tongues like I have when I was child.
So
my-
I'm just gonna, sorry,
my
I'm just
mother-
gonna show the map where Jamila is from. This is Morocco, in North Africa.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So,
And right there, you can see Marrakech, where Jamila is from and where she lives now.
So like Claudia explained, I am from Morocco, living in Morocco. It's a country, Arabic and Muslim country, of course. And my mother tongue is dialect Moroccan, which called Darija. It's not a written language. It's a spoken, and all Moroccan, they share this language. It's different than the Arabic country, of course. And my parents grew up in a small village in the south of Morocco. It's about 1,000 kilometers from the city of Marrakech, and they are Berber. We can call them Berber, but also Imaziran. Berber is the first inhabitant of Morocco. And
They were the first inhabitants. They were the original settlers of Morocco. Yes.
And Imaziran, the same thing like Berber, it means like free man. You can see free man or free woman. This is
Free man or free woman. Okay.
free the means of so imagine at home my parents, they spoke Amazigh, this language different that Moroccan dialect Moroccan.
Yes.
And our neighbors also, they are speaking another dialect. When I was 6 years old.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, show real quick. This is the Place Jamel El Fana, which is very known in movies and all sorts of things. A huge market area with snake charmers and all kinds of wild and crazy things, as well as things to buy, food and clothing. But that's right in the heart of Marrakech. Okay.
So we will speak again about Marrakech, this international city. When I was 6, I went to the school and I was required to learn classical Arabic. Classical Arabic now, it's different to my mother tongue. It's written language. And
A written language, yeah.
And I had to learn how to write, how to learn to read, you know, with this language.
And how old were you then? How old were you?
6
How
years.
old were you? How old? 6 years?
6 years. When I
6 years old.
Yes, when I started to go to school, it was 6 years, many years ago.
Yeah.
And of course, after class, when you leave your classroom, you start to speak your mother tongue. It's not classical Arabic. You go to home and you have Amazigh languages. 1 year later, when I was 7 years old, I was required now to learn my first foreign language, which is French.
Amazing. 7 years old. Amazing.
Yes, and of course French, because you know about our history in Morocco. It was under French protectorate. It's like a colony since 1912 to 1956. And what is amazing, you have to study with French and Arabic in parallel. You have some courses in Arabic, classical Arabic, and some courses in French, and you continue to study that till university. And my father was a teacher, so he spoke with us some French. That is why I was more and more interested in this language. And why I am telling you that? Because when I was a child, I didn't pay attention to this, you know, switching from a language to another language. I was like, for me, it was like normal, but it was not normal. Later, I understood that those all languages, dialect Moroccan, Amazigh, French, Arabic classic, it give me a flexibility of thinking. It's training my brain to deal with situation, and perhaps this is why it will help me after to deal with all problems I have, and also to have this responsibility in my career. I kept a souvenir when I was in the middle school. I think at 11 or 12 years old, I received an illustrated dictionary, my first dictionary illustrated in French. I was very happy, like really, I was a child, but I was really like a baby. Oh, it's very beautiful. And I saw this dictionary and I could open it. There were a lot of images, you know, like animals, like plants, and with many words. And I thought, oh my God, all French is in this dictionary. I could go there. It's easy for me. And I think, the words belongs to me now. And
The words belong to you. The words belong to you.
And I continue, of course, and I had a French teacher. She was from France for the French class, and she was asking us always, what is the synonyms of this verb, or what is this? You can explain. Nobody in the class could give this explanation, but she always asked me, Jamila, you could answer. And of course I answered. I was very happy and it was easy for me. And always she told me, what's a clever girl. I never thought that I was clever than the other people. I think only because I was curious, and because the love of languages, because
Right,
I
so
love languages.
You were very intelligent because you were curious and you loved languages, right?
Oh,
Yes, yes.
okay, and
Your passion.
I continue with this to read. Oh,
Yep.
this
No, yes,
is
we have this,
Arabic. And of course, reading classical Arabic opened for me also many doors. I read Arabian Nights. I read a philosopher. I could have a big view of the world because I couldn't travel, so I could only read. You know, I couldn't go to the movie because I was a girl. My parents did not allow me to go to the cinema or to movie, so
They wouldn't let you go to the movies. Okay.
Yes, I had
Yeah.
a lot of time. Also with French, I continued to study French and discovered a lot of writers, you know, Stendhal, Flaubert, Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir,
Mhm.
you know, Victor Hugo, and I was deeply in this French literature and the French culture. And it was for me something like owning the world now, you know, to have all this knowledge. And I was always curious more and more how I will discover something. I must like I am I was looking for something and I want to discover it. Now I have a lot to discover. When I was 16 years old, I remember that I have a neighbor. She was coming to see me, of course, singing a Spanish song, and by Maria Ostes. I didn't know before this singer, but she was like the title was like "No sabes cómo sufrir."
This is the Spanish, right? So you learned Spanish.
I can
And
read.
this is Maria, what's her name? Maria
Maria
Ortiz?
Ostes, you know, which is
Yeah.
Spanish. And this song like, yo me vi rodeando el mundo, yo me vi rodeándolo por ti. El agua no me saciaba, el pan no me alimentaba y no sabes cómo sufrí. I was attracted by this song.
Here's the
It
English.
was amazing because it's not only because it's Spanish, but also the words were very interesting and it attracted me. And I asked my neighbor to give me the textbooks. Give me, please. I want to learn this Spanish. What is this? And I could learn a lot of Spanish when I was young. And it helped me. There is one situation before becoming a bookseller. I worked with a company for 2 years, and my boss was one day he was speaking with somebody on the phone. The person from Spain, he got nervous and he couldn't answer. And he told me, Jamila, you can ask him, what is this? I couldn't, he's speaking something. I go, yes, it's Spanish. And of course, I talked to this person and I explained with my words and I explained and I promised him to send some documents. And after when I finished it, he asked me, you speak Spanish? Yes, I do. No, this is my Spanish because
apparently you do, yeah.
Yes. And it was like, oh, I had somebody who speaks for him. It was like because he was from France. It was like I got the word again. And you know, it's very important when I am the eldest of a large and a big family, and we are 6 boys and girls, and I had to run a family bookstore in 1993, and there's a lot of books, of course. That is why I was interested to run it, and I created. I had. It was near of the universities, and I received people from the desert, from the Atlas, students, because they didn't have universities in their villages, so they came to Marrakech to study, and they was really near of the university, and they couldn't enter to the bookstore because they didn't have money, and they scared that I told them, you can come, and they discussed with them, and they understood because on the rural area there was no library.
In the rural areas, right? Okay.
There was no bookstore, no cultural space, and there is a lack of, you know, many things, books, and that is why I think I started my project 1996.
So we have a picture of your first. Let's see. This is your first time here with your books all piled up in your car there, your little van.
I created the book Caravan, which are a mobile cultural space. So moving from the city to the countryside, to the rural, bringing books. And sometimes we drove 10 hours to reach a village or something.
10 hours. Wow, yes, you drove 10 hours. That's amazing.
I understood more and more that those young people and those students, they need, you know, that is why I always in the city, when I talk to somebody or to the young, when they have everything, please people there, they don't have anything, and they are happy when we arrived with books, and we arrived with the, for example, writers. And the book caravan, it's still 3 days. It's like a forum of discussion with authors, journalists, but also young people. We give them the opportunity to express themselves. And always I wanted international. So you can look here from, this is a writer from Germany.
This
The
is a
people
writer
come
from
from
Germany,
USA.
and this is part of you've done writing workshops in your book caravan, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
And the students could all follow with a well-known writer, and her name was Yusra. What was her name?
Yusra Ali, she's Egyptian and German Egyptian, and we use all languages.
Egyptian. Okay, so
We
you
have
used
always
Arabic
translated.
in this case. Arabic was the
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Arabic, French, or English also, and it was always open. You can use the language. You can, if you speak English, you have to use English. If you have, we have always translator. And also, when you go to the villages, you know that people, they speak Amazigh. It's also different than my mother tongue, like Moroccan dialect. So we have always translator. We have people and young. We are volunteer to help us to do that. This is the book caravan. It's my baby. You know, I like.
Yes, it's your baby. Here's another picture of you.
Yes.
Okay, keep going. And then here's another picture of the caravan.
This is all people from Bahrain and from Morocco.
Okay.
They came. We were like veiled because it was cold. It's Imilchil. Really, it's really in the mountain. Imilchil, very high mountains, and we went in April, and really it was cold.
Wow.
And this is
the writer, right?
Yes, Yusra Ali from
Yusra. She's Egyptian.
She's German also. She's great. She did a amazing workshop with and they could write. And I think Claudia, you could see the writing of the young people. I sent it to you.
Yes, I've seen some of it, and I translated some of it from French.
So
yes.
This is the book caravan, and we can speak and speak, you know, hours and hours. But for many years, I was the bookseller francophone, if you want. And I went in France, I went in Switzerland, but the part French, and I could visit the book fair in France. And one day in 1997, a friend of mine, he called me and told me, Jamila, we want to invite you to Germany to reach the Frankfurt book fair, the biggest one and interesting one.
And as you can see, there are 73,000 attendees last year from 105 countries. So it's huge. This is the picture.
It's huge and interesting when you go there and you understand. So of course, when he told me I will invite you, I was really happy. Of course, I want to go the first time in Germany. And after he told me, but Jamila, everything will be in English. Oh my God. Since my high school many years ago, how I can handle that? Of course, I will do it. Why not? For 3 months, trust me, I was drinking English, eating.
You studied for 3 months straight, okay.
And for me, I went with 50% of comprehension of English.
50% of comprehension.
50%. 50%. And
50%, right? 50% of comprehension. Yep.
And I went there. I could do it, and I introduced myself, and I meet people. It was the international seminar of young bookseller when I was young.
So Jamila really gets around. She gets around to all countries, all languages spoken, because of her amazing, passionate personality. She's able to click into almost any culture and group of people. Go ahead.
So I people when I went there, people were from USA, Canada, Japan, and I could communicate and I could have exchanges. And this is the first one I thought, and I told myself, with languages and with foreign languages, the doors could be open to you. You can imagine, I am from Morocco. Didn't have any idea to travel, for example, to Germany or after to USA, but with languages and with the knowledge, I could be there. After that, I was invited 6 times to this book fair to represent Moroccan publishers.
6 times, wow.
And I was in the media because they were interested in my work and also in my book caravan. After that, because I was in the media, a famous one there, I was contacted by a German foundation. I am working with them now. They contact me and they needed somebody because they want to do a project in Morocco. And I was like advisor and the manager of project manager for many years before. Now I'm working with them.
Good. And we want to just mention your Italian partnership also.
Yes, here.
So
here because in Italy, I did an interview many years ago with an Italian journalist, and they did. They were interested in my work, and there is a publisher. He asked me to do a book. Oh,
there we go. There it is.
So I did the book La Libraia di Marrakech, the bookseller of Marrakech. It's like autobiography in front of you.
Available on Amazon.
Speaking, yes, in Italian. Unfortunately, speaking only, I was talking about my experience, about my love of books, of language, of communication with people, and everything is in this book. But it was only in Italian. We want to translate it, but with books, it's always very difficult. You have to buy your rights, and as it was an Italian right. So this is now I am working in this foundation. We are planning to do schools in the desert, air food. It's 9 hours from Marrakech. And
so one second. So I just want to say, this is your office, which is beautiful.
Yes, it's a
villa.
Beautiful one,
Yes. And now your foundation, as you say, you're planning to build schools in the desert area, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Primary schools.
Primary schools, but it's not also to go to school, but to do activities and to do extra activities for these young people or their children. But trust me, in the plan, the first thing is to teach them foreign languages.
Foreign languages, very important.
Far, because there is no schools there, there's nothing, and the internet also doesn't work.
Wow.
You are in the desert. So the first thing for me to teach them French, English, German, anyway, but because they could communicate also, and they have, like when I was a child, when I was young, how you breathe if you could communicate in other languages with the others. And of course,
sorry, we didn't say this before. This is the
village,
juxtaposition of a poor rural villages in the high Atlas Mountains, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, and then
we have a school in the desert, which is well known for. Desert, and this is I go there. I am working. Really, we have a project near here, and of course, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's a really advantage to go there. But of course, for people are living there, it's hard, and we want to share with them something. I am continuing to work to do something for them. And talking about languages, I think the love of languages and my curiosity give me the opportunity to be a citizen of the world. My career, I was a bookseller. It was interesting, but not I didn't earn money with books, you know, but when I could have this job, it was better, and I could invite it everywhere. And I am working like a project manager, chargé de projet for many companies with this German foundation. They have
Yes, you have many partnerships, and yet now you've spread out all across Europe and you know, part of Africa. So
yes,
yeah.
I could have a big network, and this network it give me the opportunity, you know, to go always, and it opened doors and like doors and windows.
Yes, doors
to-
and
to-
windows. And here's
uh,
another example of, I want to just say a bit about this is a recent
This,
workshop you gave.
this is our association. We are continuing to do in Marrakech now. We are doing workshop for young people. So we, like, for example, now with the fake news with the Goethe Institute, German.
It's about fake news, trying to find fake news on the
Yes.
internet and in social media.
So, but also we are presenting movies, and we did after a discussion about that. And those people, most of them, they are from public, of course, school. They are not from elite or something like this. And we give them the opportunity to, for example, this even too with we are working with Goethe Institute. This class, they are really speaking well English. It's for high school.
There, it's a lycée, it's a high school in Marrakech, right? Yeah.
The teacher is because the teacher is very active, and
yes, the teacher actually studied in Boston, right? She's Moroccan, and she studied English in Boston. Here she is right here.
Those young people, they were somewhere in Texas or somewhere. There is exchange between students.
No, it's in Arizona. Arizona.
Okay, but because
yeah, they have a sister school in Arizona, Scottsdale. Yep.
So this is my work. It's always open. It's always international. It's always like this, and it's active, and we are receiving people. We are trying to do our best.
Yes, with many cultures and many different languages, and it's really remarkable. I have one question for you, Jamila, and that is about at Rosemont. You know, they have a as in many four-year colleges, they have a requirement of taking 2 semesters of a language. And I wondered if you could maybe give some advice to students on what they could maybe do with the language, instead of seeing it just as like a drudgery to get it over with. It's a requirement. How could we help to the students to learn more about how to use these languages and discover cultures where they're spoken?
I know, like I said, each language is a window into a culture, and when you discover a culture, it's a civilization, and you can learn on. And with languages, you could improve your career, because you could have an important international job in the world. The world became really smaller and smaller, and we have to communicate together. So if you want to have a big opportunities to work in international organization, you have to speak another languages. So we have to learn it. And it's very important to discover culture and to discover other words. I think it's not something like it's not necessary. We have to do it. You have to do it, because it's that make a difference if you have other languages.
And also, it's important what you mentioned in the beginning about the flexibility of thinking too. Sure. It helps you. It helps you. Be changeable and malleable with different situations in your life. Correct?
Yes, and they train your brain. Like I said, you train your brain, you know, for about situation. But languages. I remember when I started to be a bookseller, I received a lot of young people from the USA. For example, they had this scholarship Fulbright.
Oh,
He came
Fulbright,
and
yep, Fulbright. Mhm.
he came and they learn Arabic. I was really surprised, classical
Yeah.
Arabic. And some of them of peace, what called piece of there is one organization.
Amethyst? No, Amethyst.
I mean,
There are a couple of them.
and there are some American. I meet them and they presented my project for them. They are young. They speak Amazigh.
They speak Amazigh too. Wow.
Amazing. They don't speak Moroccan, but Amazigh because they went to the villages and they. No, it's very. I think that it will open for you a lot of doors and a lot of windows.
Absolutely. And we just have this. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. We happen to come across this, and I happen to be a fan of Middlebury, having done an undergraduate summer at the l'École Française, the French school, and having done my first master's there in Vermont and in Paris. So they give you reasons why it's important to know a language. And as you've been saying, it can help your career. That you've been saying, it can improve your memory and brain functions, flexibility of thinking, like you were saying. It can increase your understanding of languages you already speak. Okay. I'm just gonna do this real quick here, and this is available for anybody on the web. Improves your memory. Do you find that improve your memory?
Yes. You know,
I also read where if bilingual people are less apt to get dementia. I read that.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's.
I know a French. I have a French friend. He's now, I think, 80 years old. 10 years before he came to Marrakech and he was learning Japan. And I told him, why Japanese language? Why you are now with French? Because he was speaking English. He told me it's good for my memory,
Yeah, exactly.
It's an exercise,
Yeah, exactly. So some people do crossword puzzles and some people learn a language, whatever. Okay, so but it's good for your brain. Enhances your ability to multitask, improves your performance in all other academic areas. Fully immersing yourself. That's very important too. Learning how to communicate with peers, with other languages certainly can enhance your performance in other academic fields. So. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jamila. I know we just talked a tiny bit about all of the work that you do, and you're constantly busy flitting from Germany to Italy to Bahrain but you are very a great example for all young people that it can be done with curiosity and perseverance and of course, compassion, which you have, and the love of languages. Absolutely. So thank you so much. And we would take any questions that are available maybe in the chat. If you want to put them in the chat, if you have questions about Jamila's work or anything. Again, we didn't really go into detail about it, but
there's some questions.
Any questions?
Yep, and as they start to come in, so the first one that I'll read here is, looks like, what is the inspiration for the work that you continue to do, and what's been your favorite part about how languages have affected your life?
What is the inspiration for my work?
And what's your the favorite part about using languages? Your favorite part of it?
My favorite part of the language
of using a lot of languages. Yeah.
First, the inspiration I have because I love books also, and I love to communicate. For me, it was always like this. And I continue to do it because there is a need to do that, to work with the rural area and with the young people in the rural. And it's important. It's my part of participating to the social in Morocco.
Right.
I'm continuing because I I'm like this. I want to do something. I want.
Yes.
I am
And you
active.
you are the great communicator. It has to be
Yes,
said.
I communicate.
Yes, you love to
That-
communicate. You love chatting up people all over the world. So that's a great asset. Yep.
So what is
And-
the?
Any other questions? Let's see. Anybody else have anything?
So we had a previous question there, which you guys, I guess, read John Edwards's mind. You had answered it right when he typed it in, but then we have a follow-up to that saying that I agree with John Edwards, and although Chinese Arabic are on the rise in my region, our students tend to think that everyone speaks English, so why bother learning a foreign language?
I didn't hear.
Okay, so he was saying students think that everybody speaks English, so why bother learning a foreign
Yeah.
language? Yes.
Yes, not everybody speaks English. No, it's
Yeah.
not true.
In the United
It's not-
States, but not everywhere in the world.
No, of
Correct.
course, in the United States. No, I know this is why many also young people, I heard that they say that English is the only language, it's international. Sure, it's a national language, of course. But for example, you have to go to Morocco or to go to Arabia Saudi, you have something, you have a job. Oops, 1 minute.
Yeah. Yep. You have a job, yeah.
And of course, you speak English. It's good, but you have to live in this country.
Exactly.
How you could handle that? Of course, you will stay with the others who speak in English, but there are others are speaking Arabic, for example, are speaking French. I think it's the learning a language. It's other things. It's not only to communicate, but to give you the opportunity to have the big knowledge, to know culture and culture
Yes.
and civilization. And we are in this world to learn, and we have to have knowledge if we want to be, to learn what happened in the world. We have to learn this language. Of course,
That's right.
English is international, and I use it. I agree with that, but it's not enough because it depends what do you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to stay at your city or your country, and if you want to travel to the world or to have international job. I am talking about that, to have a large opening of the opportunities. It's not
Right.
to be
Right.
like
You can't appreciate the specific culture if you
Yeah.
only speak English. You may be able to get by in business, but you don't understand or communicate with or feel the joy of a whole nother way of living.
Well, with the example for me, for example, I am from Moroccan. For many years, I stay in Morocco. I was in the media in Morocco. I was known here, but after I went to France, because I'm speaking French, is my second language. I'm
Mhm.
thinking French. I travel, but when I discovered the other languages, I could go everywhere.
Yeah.
And I could understand, I could have this network, and it depends what do you want. If you want, for the stars, if you want to stay at home, language is very important for living.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I just had another question from Ken. Is it a cooperative? I'm not sure what that meant there.
And I think that was in reference to the German book fair.
Oh, I see.
No.
The Italian book, you mean? The Italian book?
The German book fair that
Oh, the book fair. Okay.
Book fair. What is
was that a cooperative with lots of people I guess.
So it's
So-
it's run by, explain the Frankfurt Book Fair a little bit, Jamila.
It's like it's a book fair, of course. You
Yes.
have the book fair of Frankfurt. The biggest one is good because people publisher they sell rights of books.
They sell the rights. Okay.
It's really professional. You have 1 or 2 day open for public, but
Yeah.
for the others day it's only professional. But it's very important because you have a lot of discussion, a lot of workshop, and the really professional one. That is why it's very new.
And also, I'm sure there's a lot of translation, talking about translation of works. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and it, for example, in the Abu Dhabi, in Arabic country, they work with the Germany, and they have now, for example, an institution. Because I went to Abu Dhabi for the book fair there, and they are translating all books from English to Arabic, from German to Arabic.
Wow.
And there were some exchanges between Germany and the Arabic country, and it's very, very important for selling rights of books.
Yes, selling the rights. Yes.
It's very important.
Yes. 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 Huh.
We have a large influx of questions here.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to try to keep things moving here, but another good question. Knowing how Rosemont has language 1 and 2, how much does a student have to spend time-wise to actively learn a language when they take a language course to speak it fluently? How much time do you have to dedicate to learning a language to be able to be fluent?
This is a question for me.
Yes, for you. Yes.
Okay. If I well, depend if you are you persevere if you do your homework. It depends. For example, if you want to speak very well a language, it's better to go in the country, for example, France.
I agree.
But first, to have courses in your country, to start by that, and after to go to practice in other countries, to travel. And for a language, we need 1 year or 6 months. But if you want for 6 months, you have to use internet, you have to use like me, Duolingo, and to study if you do your homework. When I did some English many years ago, 2004 and 2002 in San Diego and also in Washington, DC, for 1 month I could be, I did well. It's only because I don't practice English like now. I can do mistakes when speaking because I don't practice it every day. But if you want, you can. For 6 months, you could be good for that. And after, take your holidays and go to travel to.
There you go.
Agreed. Thank you, Madeline, for that question. And on the sort of opposite side of the spectrum there, Brett asks, do you believe that one can learn and experience a different culture without learning a foreign language?
Again, please, because.
Yes.
Do you, go ahead, Chad.
Do you believe that one can learn and experience a different culture without learning a foreign language?
Without, without.
On peut apprendre de la langue.
Sans la langue. Sans la langue, est-ce qu'on peut apprendre la culture et tout ça sans apprendre la langue?
How? Because if you want to understand, you understand a culture, you have to read, and you have to travel, to live with people there. Like I said, those American young people, they came to, for example, to the village in Morocco, and they learn Amazigh. If without language or foreign languages, how you could communicate? It's all like with people. I don't think it's very important to know the language, of course. it's not possible. You can follow a YouTube or video, but you need
Right.
to understand foreign languages. It's
To understand what the people are about, right? What they're,
yes,
know,
if, of
and that's
course,
part of the culture.
perhaps you can imagine that you went somewhere and you can see I understand everything. No, if you learn their languages or foreign language, you can go deeply to this culture. This is
There
why
you go.
it's important. And so it's really, like I said in the beginning, the language it's a real subject, and we can discuss days and the months, because it's not it's not nothing really. It's something, why it influences your way to do everything. And for me, it's amazing. This is very important to know every time this language or other language. If I could, I have time, I want to learn all languages, but it's not possible.
Okay, let's go for some other. Go ahead.
The next question is, what are a few challenges that you have faced throughout your career?
The challenges I face?
Les défis dans ta carrière.
Well, the défi, when I became bookseller, and I went from the city to the rural. I was the first Arabic woman to do that. It was not possible before. It's not, and I can say that Fatima Al-Marnisi, when she met me in 1997, when I explained to her my work, well, what are you doing? Yeah, bookseller, of course, but I'm go to the rural. She told me, you are courageous to do that. And they
courageous, yeah.
This is a challenge I face me, and of course I am a woman, and I went by myself driving cars. It's not the rural. There is no light. Sometimes it's. But I did it. The challenge I start by villages around of Marrakech. And I went, far, 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. It was like always, I want to go so far I could to do my work and with my projects.
So was that a challenge? Was that difficult? C'était difficile to faire ça?
For me, always people, they ask me this question. I don't know. For me, I couldn't tell you it was difficult. Of course, it's always difficult. But for me, I wanted to do it. I did it. Yeah. It's not, I never think it's difficult. Of course, everything is difficult if you are from Arabic Muslim country. I am a woman. I am fighting every day for doing things. But I didn't care. I want to do that. I do it. And that's it.
That's wonderful. Do you have a specific language that was your favorite to learn? And what language do you want to learn next?
Italian. I think when I meet you in the end of the year, I will speak in Italian. I can understand Italian. I like music. Oh, this page. This is lots. It's really Italian. I love Italy. I love, because I have a big network in there. But this language, when you hear it, it's like a joy in the voice of the people. Oh, this is amazing. I want to do it also. I will.
It's very romantic, right?
Very romantic.
Yes, lyrical.
All right, we have time for just a couple, maybe two more questions for Jamila here. So one from Brooks. Do you think, since the interest in other language was something you were exposed to as a child, do you think that impacted how well you have taken to other languages?
Yes, I explained, when I was child, I didn't pay attention for this. It was complex, like but of course it's influencing my way to learn the other languages, because I learned I had like Moroccan Arabic, Amazigh, classical Arabic, French, and they go, of course, it gives you the opportunity. And here, this is why now I understand that many young Moroccan, they are good in languages, because we have this, you know, we are challenges, switching from a language to other language. And I think, I don't know if I answered to the question, but I think it's
So it was easier for you to learn other languages because you had different ones growing up, right? Growing up as you were, when you were young, right? Yeah.
But you have to add always something called curiosity.
Curiosity, yes.
Be
Very
curious,
important.
please. Be curious, please.
Yes, yes.
And we have maybe one more here, and it says, I love to see, and I'll try, la passion de Jamila pour les languages. Do you, and I don't speak French, but
Good, that's good, Sean. You're doing well.
do you know how many people you have convinced to learn another language?
Me, okay, every day with my sister, do English. Yes. But I always, when I, for example, when I go to with the book caravan to the villages, we are always surprised with those young people to come and to speak foreign languages with the authors, sometimes in German, sometimes in English. And I convinced them, I told them, you have to do something. And that is why, for example, when you ask me, is foreign language is important? If I am thinking now, if we go to the rural, there is no school, and those people where they are interested to learn, and people who have schools, they are not interested. Do you know?
Okay, so you're saying, what I'm trying to say, make sure everybody understands. You're saying that people who don't have the schools and the benefits of books want to learn, and people who are in the schools don't want to learn the foreign languages.
Yes,
yeah.
this is
Very ironic.
no,
Yes.
but I am trying to convince people every day. This is my, I think that many young people I meet, they followed me, and I think now with internet they could you know, learn some foreign languages.
Okay, great. Well, we thank you, Jamila, so much for being here with us today. I know it's getting late over there in Morocco, and
welcome.
Myself, I've had a terrific.
To come to Morocco. Share with
Excellent.
me my experience.
Everybody can stay with Jamila.
Yes, come, welcome. It's
Yes,
I will be very happy.
We've had such a terrific conversation with you, Jamila, and we look forward to hearing more about all the great things that you will continue. If we did not get to your question, we'll try our best to answer it via email to get back to you. But I had a lot of great interaction. Love to see the engagement from you as the audience. And so, you know, we'd love to, at this point, conclude the webinar. But again, thank you all for being here, and thank you to the Conwell Grant for Foreign Language for funding this event.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila. And thank you, Chad. Very well done.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bonne nuit. Bonne nuit.
Bonne nuit. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you very much, Claudia. Thank you.
Okay.